Alrighty, howdy folks. Well, it's been long enough. I think it's time to answer this Q&A session. Some of these I may have to skip because I haven't really peeked too much at these. I kind of want to give some more natural reactions to them. I did look a couple times, primarily because I'm trying to clean out the spam, because as predicted, a lot of people spammed or just dropped insults or whatever. But if I come across any more of those, I'm going to probably skip them. I'm also not going to be answering too many questions about other people, because I've been asked those too. And when people say, "What do you think of so-and-so?" Nah, come on, guys, have a little more tact than that, okay? But anyways, let's get this started, shall we? Let's see. We'll start with the oldest and work our way up here. Yep. Okay. Taking me a little bit longer to get there than I thought. 81 questions I got. So, all right. Here we go. Some of the comments on Kai. Oh, okay. Well, I can't escape it. Some of the comments on Kai videos on YouTube make me want to punch a freaking wall. Seriously, you just can't be that stupid, know what I mean? Okay, I do think I need to clarify some of this. When it comes down to preference, sometimes, even if it doesn't make sense to you, people can have a preference, okay? That though, it puzzles me to no end how anyone could prefer that. Some people think that, Twilight's a genuinely better book series than, say, Harry Potter, so... or at least to them, they like it more. So, take it for what it's worth. Now, when they start making factual claims that are completely bogus or making some really over-the-top remarks, yes, it does get frustrating. Very frustrating. And it's not limited to that, though. It's everywhere. It's just basic human stupidity. Everybody, when you don't sit there and think and just, type off the handle, you can say a lot of stuff that really doesn't make sense. And some of it you don't even mean later when you go back and look at it. But I digress. Let's move on. Have you ever been to the Wisconsin Dells? Many times, actually, ever since I was a kid. Went there a few times with my family. Went there a couple times, just my mom and me, for a vacation thing. Yeah, been there a few times, and it's a pretty awesome place. A lot of people might not know what it is. It's basically the entire thing's like a resort town. So they have huge water parks there. They have amusement parks there. They have a giant water show there. They have a lot of really amazing and beautiful landmarks there that you can tour. Great place to be. It really is. Relatively cheap too, compared to like a lot of big city places and huge theme parks. So, okay. What's wrong with the casting of Ben Affleck as Batman? I think he'll do great in that role. Okay, I've explained this many times, but I'll try this one more time. See, people keep trying to bring up the whole Heath Ledger thing. Oh, nobody knew Heath Ledger could do anything like that. That's not applicable here. Okay? That is not applicable here. Here's why. Heath Ledger, the reason nobody knew how he'd do in that role is Heath had never played a role, anything remotely like this. Most of his roles had been, when he was younger in the whole teen heartthrob movies, like 10 Things I Hate About You, which people may or may not know was actually an adaptation of William Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew. But yeah, he was in that. He was in A Knight's Tale. He was, there were movies that were primarily considered, decent to blah movies, but targeted at teenage girls. And, of course, the infamous turn as the gay cowboy in Brokeback Mountain, which is actually the primary reason people objected to him playing the Joker. Then he did play a role in Dr. Parnassus, I guess, but and it was a bit more drama-oriented than his usual parts. from what I'm told, I haven't seen the movie, but that actually, while being filmed before The Dark Knight, I guess, or shortly after, but before his death, something like that. But either way, it was out after The Dark Knight, so no one had seen him like that before. And he also had a role in Mel Gibson's The Patriot, which he actually did really good in. So, I mean, it's not like he couldn't act, but no one had ever seen him in a role like that, and it's a huge role. It was a very weighty role. The last person to fill that role in live action was Jack Nicholson, and a lot of people thought he had done a great job, so a lot of people figured, this is a lot for him to take on. Don't know if he can handle it, but he handled it very well. And the difference with Ben Affleck, it's also why I don't like to use that argument with Dane DeHaan as Harry Osborn, and I'll explain that later. When it comes to Ben Affleck, he kind of played that role already when he played Daredevil. In fact, he even said multiple times in interviews before, during, and after that he was playing Daredevil exactly the same way he would have played a Frank Miller Batman. That was his inspiration for this. That was how he was going to get into character to play the part. Because, Frank Miller had also done stuff for Daredevil, so he was going to go with the Frank Miller style. But he figured, Batman, Daredevil, they're similar characters, so if I reach in and find how I'd play Frank Miller Batman, things will be different. Now, I know a lot of people like to say, his acting's improved since then, yada yada. Yes and no. Affleck had received some critical praise for his acting back then as well. It's not as if he was a bad actor back then. Not as experienced as he is now, no, but it's not like he was a bad actor. Honestly, though, I do think Affleck's a better director than he is an actor in terms of his acting range. See, that's the other problem, and we're going to get back to that in a second. But, see, Affleck has played a role that was dark and, broody, and he cannot project that air. He does not come off as a good, dark, intimidating, slightly brutish figure. It doesn't come off that way. He's too much of a nice guy, even when he's, looking buff and whatnot, he's a nice guy. And he can't hide that. It comes across in his face, his eyes, everything. See, I don't dislike the guy. I don't know why people think I don't like him. He's a genuinely nice guy. He's a good actor. He's a good director. But his range, see, that's the problem. His range just doesn't seem to contain Batman. And when we've seen him try to go there, he's failed spectacularly. So, I have my doubts. I really do. I also find it hilarious that some of the same people who say the biggest problem with Man of Steel was Zack Snyder, are also the ones who are saying that, it was just a bad director with Daredevil. With a good director, he'll do great. And Snyder's directing this too, and according to you guys, he sucks. So, why are you trying to hide behind that? It's, I don't know. But, like I said, I wouldn't use that argument with Heath Ledger with Dane DeHaan either, because I know Jamie Foxx used it for himself, although I don't think he meant it the way people are trying to take it. He thinks he's going to be as good or better than Heath Ledger. No, he's saying, don't judge me until you've seen me. But, and yeah, he used it for Affleck too, but I don't like that. But I also don't like it for Dane DeHaan as Harry Osborn, because people are like, wait till the film comes out to judge whether or not he'd be a good Harry. I can tell right now he's going to be a good Harry, because he has played a character very similar to Harry Osborn. Oh my. He played a character very, very similar to Harry Osborn in Andrew from Chronicle, in terms of Harry's descent into insanity and everything, and being a villain. He can do that. He's proven it, and he can do it and be very frightening despite being a very small person. He's very small in stature, but he can project a very intimidating, frightening air, and honestly better than Ben Affleck can. But that's that. Maybe he's gonna surprise me, maybe, but I'm gonna seriously doubt that. Also, just based on how the writing's been going for this, the whole production's looking like a mess pushed by Suits anyway. So even if he could have been good, I don't think we're gonna see it in this movie. I don't know. Anyways, moving on. Okay, I understand that you don't care if you're a non, but I'm going to keep you a non just because I don't want people thinking I'm showing favoritism. What do you think needs to happen for the DC Cinematic Universe to be a success? They need to stop everything that they're doing and slow the heck down. Do you think Colleen Delaney should return as the voice of the Mafala in the ESO? I have no idea what you're talking about there. I'm sorry. Do you think Marvel will ever give us the real Mandarin and fix Iron Man 3? They already did that. Hail to the King short film. I'm going to review that soon. What do you think should be the future of God of War? Something that isn't a prequel spin-off. That's the end of that. Sorry, I'm rushing through a couple of these because, running on this. Okay, I'm going to skip this one. This is spam. Oh, gosh. The last one I went more long-winded than I wanted to, and I don't want this to get too long. Why are you constantly bashing X-Men Days of Future Past? It looks like it's going to be the best X-Men movie ever. Okay, here's why. First of all, Bryan Singer's back. Bryan Singer, even in his 2 movies that were considered quote-unquote good, they're only considered good on a curve. Okay? They're decent at best, and I mean at best decent. As in not terrible, not great either, just short of blah. In fact, the first one kind of is blah, the second one's decent. Now, the problem is the man is known for flash over substance. He likes to show off the flashy powers and everything, but at the same time, Singer has a crush on Hugh Jackman, whether he'll admit it or not. And, I mean, he's always finding a way to centralize around him. He is always finding a way to get the man shirtless or in skin-tight leather. It's just... Anyway, it's just... This has the typical Singer problem of being all flash, no substance, and changing established villains just for the sake of making them look cooler. Basically, everything's cooler in black leather. He's taking these established characters from both film sets, or however you want to describe it, cramming them into one, and then saying, oh, hey, look, guess what? They're in this movie, but they're only there for like one scene or a couple seconds. For example, Anna Paquin as Rogue. She's being used to promote this movie. She's being used in promotional images. She even got her own cover in the Days of Future Past covers for Empire Magazine, and was it Empire or who was it? I don't know. Anyway, that was after they had already announced that she'd been pretty much cut from the film. Her one scene that she was even prominent in has already been cut, but they're still using her to promote the film. Then when you look at Quicksilver and him being a refugee from a Spy Kids movie, and when you look at what they've done with half the other characters, and the fact that this looks like it's another case of X-Men Origins, what people accused X-Men Origins of having, which was basically just having mutants in there for the sake of having them in there with them doing nothing really, even though that's kind of the whole point of that movie, but I digress. People hated it there. They're loving it here just because. I mean, most of these characters aren't going to do anything significant. That's been pretty much stated. The lead character in the comics, Days of Future Past, was Kitty Pryde, and she's been stripped of her role and had it given strictly to Wolverine. But supposedly her powers are going to play a key role in sending him back, even though Professor X is the one sending him back into his younger body. So I think we got scammed there too. And in the end, it's a comic arc that's literally 2 issues long. Now there's something leading into it, and then there's, after effects of it, if you get the graphic novel version that extend like 3 or so issues either way. But, in the end, this is based off of a 2-comic arc, and, they're cramming in all these cameos and characters who weren't even in the actual arc. It's just looking like a mess. It really is. And in the end, I really don't think this is actually going to fix a timeline. I don't. I think that what this is essentially going to do is establish that these are 2 separate universes now, so that Fox can literally take any X-Men story at any point, do whatever the heck they want with it, and say, oh, well, this one's set in this universe, and this one's set in that universe. That's honestly what I think they're trying to do. But that's just me. And the Sentinels, oh my god, they didn't even try there. They really didn't. It also seems like their future Sentinel is actually Nimrod without the name or the face or anything. It's just, yeah. Alright. DB's here, DB, it's all one series. All one series, period. I don't split it. I don't believe in a split. And I don't think any part's better than the other. Because DB, all that does is leave you with a sense that there's a lot more going on that needs to be fleshed out, and there is. And DBZ, well, you're just watching half a series and then complaining when it doesn't have any character development, even though you're only watching half the series, and most of that development happened over here. So, yeah, I don't buy into this BS, personally. Why are you and Christopher Dema, a.k.a. Neo Game Spark, such comic book purists? Purists! Oh, wow, I didn't know that, expecting people to actually respect the source material was being a purist now. This stems from a couple things. This stems from being critical of the Raimi films for, deviating very strongly from the comic versions of the villains in their adaptation, which, honestly, were not hard. This was not anything that would have been difficult to bring to life. It's not like you had to rely on any kind of outside source for an origin. It was easy to do, but they just didn't do it. In the case of Ock, it's especially infuriating when you find out that Ock was originally going to be Doc Connors. Yeah, Connors was who that script was written for, which is why Doc Ock suddenly has a wife and a loving family, and he's a nice guy and a mentor figure. They were actually going to do the Lizard, and they just got lazy and swapped out Octavius for Connors. So in the end, yeah. That was a product of laziness that butchered that character. But I digress. Also, being upset with The Dark Knight Rises for both what it did to Bane and the fact that they actually had Batman do something that Batman would never do given any other choice, which is fake his own death and quit. And, yeah, Days of Future Past and whatnot stems from that. Listen, I'm going to answer this now because it then continues even further. This is sad. I mean, seriously, if you and Chris want every comic book superhero movie to be exactly like the comics, then don't watching any of the friggin' movies. Just read your damn comic books. I have a feeling The Amazing Spider-Man 2 will crash and burn horribly, while X-Men Days of Future Past will triumph successfully. Making Electro black is such a stupid-ass decision. Oh, that's cute. Little racism thrown in there. Batman vs. Superman will be better than The Amazing Spider-Man 2. See, this is getting ridiculous. This is what I mean. I almost regret answering this. Expecting some sort of semblance of loyalty to even the essence of these characters is not being a purist. That is honestly the least common denominator. That is the least they can do. Alright, this is not hard. Characterization is not hard. Look, appearance, setting, believability of X or Y, that's not an issue. Having them behave the way they should behave, that is not a problem. That's not purism. That's just expecting basic respect. And if you don't like it, tough. You'll probably suck down anything they throw at you anyway. It's people like you that defended Dragon Ball Evolution. Just stop. Consumeristic mindset, it gets annoying. Or 5 things you hated about Spider-Man 2. Okay, 5 things I hated about Spider-Man 2. Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, the way they handled Doc Ock. Tobey Maguire, because he's just once again so mopey, and the only emotions he has are sad and sadder, dumpy and dumpier. And Kirsten Dunst, because oh my god, you find me a person that'll genuinely defend what she did in any of those movies. Horrible performance. Horrible performance. Her character was reduced throughout all 3, but here again too. See, okay, you know what? I should probably elaborate a little bit more. I did not like those actors. I did not like the way they handled Doc Ock and made him completely unlike Ock. But I also hated the way his powers are now somehow tied to his emotions. He can't shoot webs anymore. He can't climb walls anymore. He even starts losing some of his strength because he's lovesick. I mean, that is really the most pathetically cheesy, overdone, campiest thing you could possibly ever do with a superhero. This was not a superhero movie. This was a date movie disguised as a superhero movie. It was. Prove me wrong. The entire movie is all about him, whether or not he'll ditch his responsibilities for this girl, or whether he can still have these responsibilities and keep this girl. But either way, he just needs to admit to himself that he's in love with this girl and can't help loving this girl or his powers are gone. And it's not until this girl, his booty call, is threatened that his powers come back. Which is nothing even remotely close to anything that happened when they were covering Spider-Man No More in the comics. Not even a little close. I mean, for crying out loud, they even have a moment in there, in Spider-Man 2, where he does come across a dude in an alleyway being mugged, being beaten by two guys in an alleyway, which is very, very similar to what actually happens in the comics. When Peter, going by on his bike, his moped, notices that there's a guy up on a roof, a security guard, being beaten by two guys who are trying to rob the place. So Peter, completely without thinking of himself, almost instinctively, sees that, runs up the side of the building, and figures if he moves fast enough, you know, maybe they won't see his face, almost gets himself discovered and caught just to help this guy out. Okay? Now, even if he had gotten his ass whooped there, if he had at least tried to stop him, that would have been a lot more in character with Peter Parker and the way Parker acted, especially at this point. But nope. Nope, can't do it. Can't do it. Just gotta walk away. Can't even call for help. Nope, just let the guy get beaten. Stare straight forward. Shocked face. Wooden the whole time. Never changing. Don't blink. You know, right after your montage of raindrops keep falling on my frickin' head. And that's another problem. The camp. Everyone throws a fit about the dancing scene in Spider-Man 3. It started here! We got a freaking sitcom montage! Complete with cheesy 70s music. Raindrops keep falling on my head. I mean, there was something out of some feel-good film with some slapstick thrown in because he's a comic screw-up, apparently. Apparently, it's just so funny when he sees these cop cars go by with this stern look on his face and, you know, you think he's going to jump into action and instead he just takes a huge bite out of his hot dog and walks away. Yes. Resolutely eat that hot dog. Eat the hell out of that hot dog. It's just... Oh. But another problem is the fact that the story is literally the same as the first movie. It is the complete same plot as the first movie. Guy gets powers. Guy has powers. Guy struggles with responsibility with those powers. What should I do? Guy has girl that he likes. Guy pines after girls that he likes. Girl that he likes is with another guy who is very interested in her. He makes attempts to win over a girl that he likes, but it doesn't seem to be working. And then, in the end, she gets kidnapped. He has to rescue her. And at the end, you and I can never be. The only way they tried to make it any different and throw in a quote-unquote black twist is when they tacked it on at the end where she did a complete bitch move, ditched the guy that asked her to marry him, who was genuinely in love with her as well, at the altar without even being able to tell him this straight to his face, or, you know, sparing him the humiliation of having this whole wedding ceremony only to have it called out because she ran off in front of his family and friends and everyone else. Jolts the guy. runs out to Peter's apartment with the wedding dress still on, and there you go. Nope, I can be with you because I want to be with you. Shouldn't that be my choice? But of course, that same standard doesn't apply to the current Spider-Man films, where if Gwen makes that choice, nope, doesn't matter, it's irresponsible, he needs to dump her and just leave her be. It's ridiculous, okay? Nothing about that movie was original except for that last bit. And then that bitch, she's a bitch. Just like he was being a douche because he would not stop trying to break up her engagement. She wasn't just dating this guy. She agreed to marry this guy. But see, in a way, she's being a bitch the entire time because the whole time she's secretly looking at him, hoping that this makes him jealous, wanting him to want to break this up. So yes, she used another guy to get to Peter Parker. Then people wonder why people don't like MJ in the public eye, and it hurts so bad because comic MJ is not like this. But nope. Everyone seems to think she is, and that's why. Oh, God, I hate people. Okay, let's move on. Shall we? We shall. Yes. Okay. Star Wars or Lord of the Rings? Oh gosh, that's tough. Well, Lord of the Rings hasn't had 3 crappy prequels or been bought by Disney, who's threatening to completely destroy the entire expanded universe. So, gonna go with Lord of the Rings for right now. Star Wars though, oh my god, that has a very special place to me. The expanded universe does too, and I swear to God, if Disney undoes all that, everything I grew up on, that'll be the last straw. I'm not forgiving them for nothing. Nada. Do you think DC is rushing its cinematic universe? Of course it is. I mean, you're pretty much doing the Justice League movie now, only in the form of small cameos in what was supposed to be Superman's movie. I mean, this is when you're supposed to take the time to develop Superman, okay? The first movie, yeah, it had some problems in terms of character development, but at the same time, you have to keep in mind that the first movie is envisioned as, the first step. The stepping stone, part 1 of an ongoing saga. That's what that is. And, I was very excited for part 2 because I wanted to see where they take that. Where would they take the relationships with Lois and with, the Daily Bugle and, Clark trying to fit in? How did what he did with Zod affect him? I'm pretty sure that's where, that experience and the experience of actually killing someone is why he's going to vow never to kill again. Which, from a narrative point of view, makes perfect sense, I mean, in the comics, people just take it for granted because, it's just what he's always done. But why would he do that in a real-life situation? Well, he just killed somebody, and it traumatized him severely. Killed one of his own people, too. That would traumatize you. And that's why you would have an extreme aversion to ever killing again. Makes sense. I wanted to see them develop on that, but instead, nope. We're going to get a movie where he's the co-star of his own sequel. People are putting more focus and attention on Bruce Wayne than they are on him. And then on top of that, the guy Jesse Eisenberg is... Okay, let's move on. What's your most... excuse me for a moment. What is your most anticipated game this year? Well... because I'm a little iffy on games that are due out at the end of the year, because they could easily hit a delay and get bumped to next year, and because I'm not all sure what all's coming out yet this year, I have yet to see an updated calendar. But I'd say so far my most anticipated game is probably The Order 1886. That game looks sick. The graphics, the story idea, all of it looks pretty awesome. So yeah, I'm going to go with that. What do you think of the Batman Arkham games in the future 4th game coming this year? I'm not so sure that's coming this year. Usually when a Batman game is coming out, we'd have seen something more on it by now. Though E3 is coming, so I suppose they could be waiting for that. But honestly, I'm not terribly thrilled with what's been happening in the Arkham games lately. I mean, the Joker is one thing, but when your big plot twist is, oh, hey, guess what? The Joker was the big villain all along. I mean, in a way, it's just expected, so it's not really that much of a twist, but at the same time, it kind of frustrates you, you know? And at this point, it's almost like the Arkham games really just can't get away from the Joker. So, at this point, I would not be surprised to see a Robo-Joker or a Reborn Joker or something in the next Arkham game. I honestly wouldn't at this point. Though it does present an interesting question. Why won't they, will they maybe ever make a Batman Beyond game in the same style as the Arkham games? That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Alright, moving on. Well, then again, I also think a Spider-Man 2099 game would be awesome. I'd like a crossover between those two. I mean, they did do 2 Batman and Spider-Man crossovers, so Batman Beyond and Spider-Man 2099 would be sweet. Let's move on. Who's your favorite Ninja Turtle? Leonardo, definitely. The discipline, the demeanor, the way he handles himself and his brothers, the way that even though, see, interesting thing about Leonardo that most people overlook is he does have a temper, and he does have a dark side, but he struggles to keep that under control, if only to be an example, especially to Raph. Raph, no question, his temper and his anger issues are a lot bigger, but you know, he's struggling with that, and the last thing Leonardo ever wants to do is, you know, let that slip, and you know, he's trying to set an example for his brothers. There's a lot of pressure on him because of that. And just, you know, the way he tries to be that example, the way he still has his moments of weakness, and the way his brothers will help him through those. Also, just the sheer discipline of him and the way he fights is incredible. So, yeah, I'm going to go with that. What are your thoughts on the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy movie? Okay. It's got potential. It definitely has potential. I like a few of the designs. The way they did Star-Lord's mask looks great. I'm not going to lie. Groot, from what I've seen of him, looks incredible. A bit shorter than I recall, but I think in the movie, and I'm not sure if he did in the comics, but I'm pretty sure in the movie they're making it so that he can adjust his height as needed. Probably did in the comics too. I mean, I've only read a few of the Guardians comics, so you know that's worth pointing out. But Rocket Raccoon looks absolutely great, and I really want to see how he plays out. So I'm hoping, especially since it's a team-up movie, they might kind of do like what they did with the Avengers and kind of give each character their own little mini trailer or TV spot. Because I'd love to see just some of him in action to make sure that they got him right, but I think they might have. He looks great, though. But Gamera and Drax are what worry me. Because Zoe, honestly, with that paint on, she looks like she's glowing neon. And it doesn't really look good on her. And Drax does not look like Drax. Drax looks like Batista developed a skin disease. So, those two are probably going to be my pet peeves throughout the movie, especially Drax. Oh my god. It looks like Hulk. It looks like a mini Hulk got like some sort of skin condition. Not even a mini Hulk. Hulk is greener than him, for crying out loud. Oh god, they made that green way too dark and like pale almost. Which is hard to do at the same time, but if you see it, they did it. Alright. Now I got 2 questions that are the same thing, so I'm going to answer them. What are your thoughts on the casting of Man of Steel 2, like Gal Gadot and Jesse Eisenberg, Jeremy Irons? Jeremy Irons is an okay choice, but I think he's kind of a waste, depending on how big Alfred's part is, and which Alfred they go with. But, I do not like Jesse Eisenberg for some of the same reason that I don't like Ben Affleck. He's just does not project. He does not project the air that is associated with Lex Luthor. He does not. He does not feel like a Lex Luthor. He does not seem like a Lex Luthor. He does not really impose himself. And Gal Gadot, I don't want to say boobs are an issue, but they almost are in the sense that build is. Diana, her body structure and yes, her chest region included, isn't just like boobage either. It's muscle. She's very toned. She's muscular. She's her bone structure even is very strong. And Gal, even if she bulks up, she's got a very, very thin frame, so bulking up on her is not going to look the same as Wonder Woman. I shouldn't say it's about boobs. It's, pectorals, muscles in general. She just does not have like a Wonder Woman build. Even if she were to get some muscle, she's not going to have the same build, so she's going to look awkward. But I'm also not terribly thrilled with her as an actress per se. She hasn't really done anything that blows me away or impresses me. So, just a lot of the casting really does seem like they just went with people who are popular now or big names. It really does feel not organic. Like the suits are really pushing this movie hard. All right, next question. What's your favorite manga you still read today? Dragon Ball. I'm sorry. Dragon Ball. Yes. Moving on. So I know you don't like the Spider-Man trilogy, so what's your opinion on the video games? Friend and foe included. That's part one of this. The games... The first movie game was decent enough, but it needed just way too many bugs and a bit too limited. The movie games for 2 and oddly enough 3 were great in terms of gameplay and everything. Hearing Toby try to deliver jokes was still a bit odd and wooden, but they were good. They were good gameplay games. They really were. Though the Statue of Liberty level with Mysterio irked the living crap out of me. I mean, really. And some of the camera angles when you were fighting Ock in the finale were annoying as heck, but they were pretty good. Friend and foe, we don't talk about that game. Number 2, what do you think of the Sonic Boom TV series and game? It's Sonic. It looks like Sonic. It feels like Sonic. About the only thing that's changed is some of the clothes they wear, and Knuckles bulked up, but Knuckles has also always been older than them, so it makes sense that he'd mature faster, I guess. I don't have a problem with it, if that's what people are wondering. I'm not thrilled by it, but I don't have a problem with it either. I'd have to try it for myself before I can make any definitive call on that. Number 3, I know you said no anime questions, but what do you think of the manga Toriko? Don't read it. That's what I think. I haven't read it, so I can't say. Okay, moving on. Do you think Napoleon Dynamite is an overrated movie? Honestly, I think it's a bit of both. I think it's overrated in the sense that people toss out memes and stuff about it, or funny looking clips and everything, GIFs and whatnot. But I think it's also underrated in that people kind of don't really understand the movie per se. Oh god, that sounds really hipster and pretentious, but I actually do mean that. It's a pretty... the people in it are very dysfunctional. They're very, they have some major quirks and flaws. But at the same time, it's actually a really well-written, funny movie. It's odd. So I think while a lot of people hype it, even though they don't, really know much about it, At the same time, I also think that a lot of people knock it just because it's kind of weird and don't sit back to take the time to, appreciate the movie. Because, it's not like overt in-your-face humor. It's a lot more subtle, dry, slightly ironic humor in a lot of cases. Anyways, number 2, have you seen X-Men, the Wolverine, and so do you think it's an improvement over X-Men Origins? I honestly, I'm not going to lie, I didn't think Origins was that bad, especially since when you try to fit it into the timeline, it is. And that's why I qualify that, because when it was written at the time, it was written with the idea that it was going to be a reboot. So it ignored a lot of what was in the other movies. But then, at the same time, Fox decided, nope, we're going to make this part of our main line. It's a genuine prequel, and that's when the problems came. But I have not gotten a chance to see the Wolverine yet, unfortunately, fully anyway, but I have seen and read about it and talked to people about it, and it does seem like one of the few X-Men movies where they actually understood what the heck they were doing. Number 3, what do you think about the Amazing Spider-Man comic book reboot? I think it's not a reboot. I don't know why people are saying it's a reboot. It's a relaunch of the series. It's starting with number 1 because they ended the series originally with 700, and now they're starting it back up at number 1. It's like volume 3, really. Volume 2 got blended back into the original number count because it was getting confusing for people to follow, and because they just figured why bother with volume 2, because it's not like there was any kind of significant break or anything. We just decided to rehash the numbers for the heck of it. So now there actually is a reason, so I'm not sure if they're going to count this as volume 2 or technically volume 3, but it's still a continuation. It's going to pick up right where the last issue of Superior Spider-Man leaves off, with Peter Parker back in his own body. So, I mean, it's not like it's an outright reboot starting with the origin and going all the way through again. It's, a continuation. Now, favorite movie of 2013 and least favorite of 2013. Oh, shoot. Honestly, my favorite movie of 2013 is probably Pacific Rim. Just because it was an original story and everything, not an adaptation of any kind. It breathed some new life into a couple of genres that we thought were dead. Opened up a lot of new possibilities, and I'm very excited to see a sequel and what they do with that. I think it's also a very underrated movie. People go in there expecting something like Evangelion or Gundam, where they're spouting a lot of pseudo-philosophy while in the mechs. It's not. It's just a straight-up brawl between man, machine, and monster. So, I mean, what you saw in the trailers is what you get. There's a few quotable lines and a few touching moments and everything, but primarily it's just, sci-fi action. And that's what I went there to see, and I was very thrilled with what I saw. And I still think that it managed to be rather emotional when it needed to be, and like I said, very much looking forward to the sequel. And to see what the heck happens with Ron Perlman. Oh, that guy. Okay. Next up, least favorite movie of 2013. Oh, shucky darn. Shoot, I don't even know what all came out this year that I didn't like. Just for the sake of controversy, I'm going to say Frozen. Oh, I can feel the hate already. No, I actually haven't seen that yet either. I don't really know what my least favorite was this year. I'd have to take a look. But I don't really have time to look them up because we're already at 43 minutes. So, time to move on. I'm sorry. You kind of caught me with my bands down there. What are your problems with Bryan Singer? I think I explained this one already. I don't like the fact that he goes for a lot of flash over substance. I really don't. It's just... Yeah. I'm not terribly fond of him as a director in general, at least with any kind of action property. It's just... Yeah. What is your stance, if any, on... I say if any because I've seen heated views on the matter. Internet celebrities that ask for money for their fans in order to support their channel or project, even though, as the detractors like to put it, they have plenty of money already. Okay. Yes and no. Okay, here's how this works. See, there are times where, for tax reasons, or for monetary reasons, or for what have you, they cannot use their own personal funds to do something. because it'll throw off their tax return, their income tax thing. It'll throw off their what have you. Or, it's just too much of a personal loss. Yes, they technically have the money to do it, but it would be a huge financial cut into them with no guarantee of a return. YouTube videos are very fickle, I'll say that. Because I think most of this comes from, like, YouTube stuff. But there's also stuff on Kickstarter where people seem to be opposed to that very idea. We're asking people for money to fund a project. I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, in a way, it's great for someone who has, like, a great idea, but not a whole lot of money to get the money to try to bring that to life. And it's an investment on the part of the people involved, and if they don't want to invest, they don't have to. If they do, they can't. There are other people, though, who do say, hey, guys, can you help me out here? I'm in a personal spot. That I have a little bit of a problem with, simply because it's just odd, It's like, why are you in that spot? I don't have all the information to know why. Did you do something stupid? Did you blow your money on something? Did you buy something you shouldn't have? Are you into drugs? Did you take out a loan that you can't pay back? I don't know what's going on with your life. So to ask me to just give you money, that's just wrong. I think it depends on the case and the person involved. That's what I think. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It all depends. When art thou getting a Vita? Whenever I shalt get enough monies to acquireth it. Yes. Hopefully soon. Hopefully it'll be soon. Are you musically inclined? I am slightly. I actually played piano. Took piano lessons. And I did learn to play a couple songs by ear. Not the whole thing, mind you, but part of it. Such as Beethoven's 10th Symphony, the whole joyful thing. I actually learned how to play that one by ear. So, I guess slightly, at the very least. Who would win in a fight, Coleman McGrath or Static Shock? I don't know a whole lot about Static Shock, but based solely on Cole's sheer power that he developed and the fact that he got other powers on top of it, I'm going to go with him. Someone's probably going to get mad about that, but I don't care. Okay, let's move on. Do you hate Microsoft and what they're doing with the Xbone, or is it just the Xbone fanboys and how they betray their community? I'm not fond of Microsoft's Xbox division at all, period. Simply because of what they did with the Red Ring of Death scenario, how they tried to deny it. Then it comes out that they actually knew that there were problems, but they shipped anyway. Yeah, I have a big problem with that. And I have a big problem with their company, and I have a big problem with their repeated practices and attempts to rip people off and violate their rights. Take them away from them. I don't like that. I don't like how they were in bed with the NSA. I don't like a lot of what they do. But no, I don't hate the company. They do provide a necessary service a lot of times. I just wish they'd get rid of the Xbox division. Honestly, I don't know why they haven't, because it has actually been bleeding them money. See, all that goodwill, that ain't organic. That's bought and paid for. I just don't know why. Alright, let's move on. I do also dislike the fanboys immensely, but that's a topic for another day. What are you looking forward to most in The Amazing Spider-Man 2? They keep teasing J. Jonah Jameson. They do it with the viral stuff they put on the Daily Bugle Tumblr page. They do it with, and now they've done it with the official prequel comic, the Marvel Infinite Cinematic comic. That is a prequel to The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It also shows why Peter has a new suit, as well as sets up the activities of the Russian mafia starting to spike, all that. It's also quite funny, and I'd really recommend reading it. But, yeah, they keep teasing J. Jonah Jameson, and they did shoot a lot, not a whole lot, but they did shoot quite a bit indoors instead of a building that they weren't allowing anyone in. And they also shot some stuff on some indoor set pieces. And I would not be surprised to see an appearance by J. Jonah Jameson. Now, who would be playing him? I don't know. I think it would be awesome if it was J.K. Simmons again, just because I actually do like J.K. Simmons. He actually did do the voice and everything very well, or at least how I picture the voice. It's just that Jameson also wasn't quite as comedic as he's portrayed, and J.K. is a great actor, and I know he could pull off an accurate depiction of Jameson. I mean, Jameson, yeah, sure, he's got his funny moments, and he's a bit over the top and, reactionary, but at the same time, he's also angry at times, and, there's some darker sides to him. And it'd be nice to see those explored more. I think he could do it, and it'd be really cool just to see him again. So that, I'm also very interested in what's going to happen with Gwen. So those, I think, are what I'm most looking forward to. These teased surprises. I really want to see what they are. Have you played any of the Half-Life games before? Yes, I have. And if so, what are your thoughts on the series? Okay, this is going to really upset some people, but very overrated. Fun. Very fun, I'm not going to lie. But nowhere near as high up on a pedestal as they're placed. And I'm going to leave it at that. They're really fun games, but they're hardly like games of the century or anything like that. How old are you? I am old enough to know better, young enough to not care. I am 26, and I'm going to be turning 27 on May 2nd. So there you go. Why are you and Neo GameSpot constantly bashing Bryan Singer? He's the next Christopher Nolan, for God's sake. Really? No. Okay, moving on. What is the last thing you paid for? The last thing I paid for? Seasons 1 and 2 of My Wife and Kids. Followed by my DualShock 4 and my girlfriend's Valentine gifts. And before that, I bought the Mass Effect trilogy, and before that, I bought the Alien Anthology on Blu-ray, and before that, I bought Ninja 2 and Spider-Man Web of Shadows. So there you go. Who's the smartest person you know? Well, I'd have to pull out the mirror for that one. But, oh boy, if I had to go with smartest. Honestly, one of the smartest people I know is a fellow on Facebook by the name of Tom Manis. That guy has a lot of wisdom in him. And there are times that he's even given me a smack in the back of the head when I need it. And I actually appreciate that more than he realizes. What movie would you rather watch? Spider-Man 3 or Batman and Robin? Well, let me put it to you this way. Spider-Man 3 and Batman and Robin both butcher two of my favorite superheroes. But on the one hand, Batman and Robin has a very quotable Arnold Schwarzenegger and Uma Thurman and Alicia Silverstone in spandex. Whereas Spider-Man 3 has Kirsten Dunst with a bad dye job. So you tell me which I'd rather watch. But seriously, Batman and Robin, if only for Arnold. Oh my God, that man is quotable. I mean, that's one of those movies where I can at least enjoy it and laugh even without the help of any outside force. Though if I watch the riff tracks, I could watch either, because both are beautifully done. You're going to die unless you do one of these. Run through a field of poisonous spiders, get twerked to death by the wrecking ball creature, or watch the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy 100 times over. No, I'm not. Let's move on. You should definitely check out the McCormick place sometime. If I'm ever in Chicago, I might do that. I might do that indeed. Sam Raimi or Bryan Singer, who's better? Sam Raimi made Army of Darkness. And Evil Dead. And Evil Dead 2. So Sam Raimi. Unless you mean the comic book movies, in which case... Let's move on. Why did Superman snap General Zod's neck? Because... realistically speaking, it's because... how do I put this? Zod put him in a position where it was either he stopped him or that family died. Now, I know a lot of people keep trying to say, oh, he could have just held his head there. No, he couldn't have. He'd eventually burned right through the floor, down into the supports. And he was turning his head. People seem to forget Zod actually was at least slightly physically stronger than Superman was. He was bred to be a warrior. Now, as for why he snapped his neck and didn't fly out, honestly, what's going to happen if he flies out? If he flies him up, and then what? What happens if Zod breaks free, or tries to go back, or tries to fly in a different direction than what he's flying? What happens then? And at the same time, going off, well, that would have shattered the glass up in that ceiling. The glass, the stone, all of it, brought it right down on that family anyway. Very good chance that they would have died from that. High chance they would have died. So basically, it was either kill him or let that family die. In that scenario. And believe it or not, they actually did try to make it so that he didn't kill him. They actually did write an alternate version where he did try to push him into a phantom zone. And you know what? When they actually sat there and watched it and did script readings for it, it didn't work. It didn't feel authentic. It felt strange that he would go out of his way to protect him almost more than the city and shove him through this special portal that was quite a ways away. Plus, how would he get him there when he's fighting someone equally as strong as he was? I mean, even in the original Superman movies, he had to more or less weaken him before he could do anything. Of course, he also killed him in the original version of Superman 2, and, you know, nobody throws a fit about that. Killed him with a smile on his face, too. But anyway, that's that. What Avengers rank in your favorite comic book movies list? Or what does Avengers rank in your favorite comic book movies list? Personally, it is my second favorite after The Dark Knight, with The Amazing Spider-Man an extremely close third. I'd have to think about that, because see, The Avengers, honestly, on its own, isn't terribly much. I mean, it is, but the whole reason it works is because it has all those other films to build off of. If they did this like from scratch as a standalone, you know, you got to consider that too. And I don't know. I'd say maybe the top 5, but yeah, you know, top 5. Definitely. But, you know, not top 3. So probably 4th or 5th. Probably 5th. Question for your Q&A. Do you think there's an anime manga you consider to be better than Dragon Ball Z? I don't consider anything better than Dragon Ball Z because I don't consider Dragon Ball Z to exist because it's all Dragon Ball. If we're getting technical, that's my view. You really cannot separate the two. But better, I don't know, but I do have one that I consider to be as good as. It really is. It's tied for my favorite. And that is Parts Hunter. So that answers that. Are you a Democrat or a Republican? I really don't know why my political views would influence people to like me or dislike me, but seeing as I've told people a couple of times, and I've actually had people suddenly hate me, unsubscribe from my channel, block me on Twitter, completely shut me out of their personal life, won't even talk to me anymore, and make assumptions about what I think because of what the media tells them my people think. The people in my political persuasion think, whether they think it or not. I'm going to opt out of answering this. I really am. Because I really don't think other people are mature enough to handle the answer. What exactly was wrong with the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy? I've done a video on that. Sorry, I'm really trying to hurry up. I've gone over an hour. Yes, I have. Do you watch, play, enjoy basketball or NBA? I actually played on the school basketball team when I was in junior high, and I do still play occasionally when the weather allows. I do like college basketball a lot, but the NBA, for the most part, no. I really don't. I'll follow the results of my team, but I'm not going to watch. Just way too many fouls that don't exist. Way too easy to call a foul. You get one blown almost every 15 seconds in the NBA. It's ridiculous. Hardly anybody plays as a team anymore. It's all about superstars and ball hogs. They even act that way when they're on the Olympic team, which is why we keep getting our butts kicked, even though we used to dominate beyond belief. It's like the era of the team's over. It's the era of the superstar, as they like to call it, and it shows because, honestly, the sport has gone to hell. Maybe one day it'll be good again, I don't know. What do you think of Aquaman as a character? What do I think? Whales. Anyways, I don't know. It depends on who's writing him and how they handle him. And recently they've decided to handle him by just superpowering him, giving him strength on par with Superman almost, and it's almost ridiculous. In fact, it is ridiculous. It really is. Apparently he can summon water now and summon creatures that live in the water out of nowhere. It's ridiculous. It's like they're way overcompensating for the backlash against the character, and it just, no. What are your religious beliefs? I've showed this. I did do a video on it on my other channel. You can go ahead and watch that. I think it's on my other channel. I'm not sure. I mean, I can talk about that at some point if enough people want me to, I guess. I don't know. Will they ever include Carnage in a future Amazing Spider-Man movie? Probably not. It's going to go with a big probably not. And I've also explained that as to why. But, okay. DB0, okay, we went over this. What do you think of Capcom being douchebags, killing Mega Man, Resident Evil, and Devil May Cry, and milking Street Fighter to death? They've not really killed Resident Evil, and they're butchering Devil May Cry. And arguably, maybe Resident Evil. They did pretty much kill Mega Man and claim that it was because they couldn't get fan support, even though there's pretty clearly fan support for Mega Man out there. But well, they're going under, so, I guess it's finally catching up with them. Okay, what do you think of the idea of J.K. Simmons returning as J. Jonah Jameson in a future Amazing Spider-Man movie? Is a good or a bad idea? I think I already covered this. I did. It's cool. Are you happy that the Marvel one-shot All Hail the King? Okay, I'm not going to read anymore because this is going to contain some spoilers in the form of this question, so I will Just say I'm going to review that one shot at some point. Okay. What do you think of the idea of Aaron Paul playing Eddie Brock in a future Amazing Spider-Man movie? Why in the world does everybody want Aaron Paul for, like, everything? I swear to God. I just... I don't understand this obsession with him. That being said, no. I do not want him as Eddie Brock. I don't know. Just... I never really got an Eddie Brock vibe out of him. I'm not really sure why people seem to think that he puts out one. I mean, I also don't really think a lot of people get Eddie Brock, period, but that's beside the point. I'm not terribly fond of the idea right now, though. Yeah. Anyways. Do you think Taylor Lautner has the potential to be an Oscar-worthy actor? You're kidding, right? You have to be kidding. Let's move on. Name 10 Hollywood actors you like and name 10 you don't like. Explain why. Well, that would be a topic for a future video if I addressed it at all, because we've already gone over an hour. Alright, but maybe next Q&A. Try asking that again, but for now, yeah, we're going over time. Could you ever see Neil Gamespark as a Hollywood actor? I couldn't see Neil Gamespark as a Hollywood intern. But seriously, probably not. I don't think he'd like it too much. I could see him maybe as a director, though, or at least a writer. Someone, behind the camera. But yeah, not an actor. I don't think he'd want to be an actor really either. All right. And of course, I could be wrong. You'd have to ask him. What's your social security number? 3. Just 3. Go ahead, run with that. See what it gets you. When did you decide to become a comic book purist? Again, I don't know why wanting people to respect the source makes you a purist, but okay. Can I borrow $5? I don't know. Can you? What do you think of actor Sean Bean? Really good, but he always dies. What do you think of actor Armie Hammer? Who? You and Neo Gamespark should collaborate and make a website. You should tell him. I mean, we do have that channel, but we almost never get to update it because he's always busy and I'm often busy. I mean, if we actually had something that could definitely potentially make some cash going, then yeah, maybe. I mean, I could see more time being made, perhaps, but we'll see. Would you like to sign up for the Staples Rewards membership? You can get 5% back. Dang it, Chris. If you saw Tobey Maguire in person, what would you tell him? Hi. Nice to meet you. I mean, I'm not exactly going to rag on the guy for his performance in a movie that he was in like years ago. Just out of nowhere. That'd be incredibly rude. I don't know what you'd expect me to say or do around him. Have you read any creepypastas? Well, I've read... Yeah, I read one just yesterday. It was, I believe it was, manicotti without cheese and in, like, white truffle sauce. Creepy sounding as heck. Which version is better, Counter-Strike Source or Counter-Strike Global Offensive? Don't play. Will we ever see Half-Life 3 someday? Possibly, honestly. I don't know. Valve knows people want it, but it all depends on whether or not Valve will actually do anything about it. See, they're making enough money just sitting back doing nothing right now. Well, at least not messing with the main series that they used to make. So, you know, it is what it is. Maybe one day, though. Are you a fan of the TMNT movies? 1990, yes. The current upcoming one, heck no. What do you think the Amazing Spider-Man 3 and 4 will be about? Honestly, I can't say. They haven't even been written yet. So I'm not going to try to speculate. I'd have to see the second one first to even think about where the third one might go. Here's how I see the Amazing Spider-Man Cinematic Universe. TASM, TASM2, TASM3, TASM4, Venom, The Sinister Six, TASM5, TASM6, Black Cat, Morbius, The Daily Bugle, The Clone Saga 2, The Clone Saga 3, Spider-Man vs. the Avengers, Spider-Man vs. the X-Men, Miles Morales, TASM7, TASM8 reboot. Wow, you're seeing a lot of movies and a lot of characters that are never showing up. I'm sorry. Oh boy, Black Cat having her own movie, I don't see that happening. I really don't. And I kind of don't want to see her in this universe at all, personally. But, yeah. Morbius, I don't really know if he's going to be able to get his own movie. I don't even know if he's going to be able to show up. Let's see. Daily Bugle, I really don't see getting its own movie either. Clone Saga, they probably won't do just because it's so hated. Spider-Man vs. the Avengers, probably not happening. Spider-Man vs. the X-Men, definitely not happening. Miles Morales, I don't see happening either because he's barely got any stories to draw from. But, you know, it's interesting to think about, though, isn't it? I'm glad you were able to come up with that. I'd be interested in knowing why you think that's going to happen in that order, but it's, you know, it's fun to speculate. Let's see here. Next one. Do you think there will be a Marvel DC crossover movie someday? No, there won't. Just because DC, just because Warner Brothers, they're not going to give up any of that. And DC is kind of turning their nose up at Marvel right now. DC's in a state where they arrogantly believe that they actually dominate the movie market, the comic book movie market. That they sell more and perform better, and so it's like every single Marvel film has been a big hit, and the only movies that they've had recently that have been hits are the 3 Batman movies. I mean, I believe they tried Jonah Hex. I think that's a DC movie, I'm not sure. That flopped. Green Lantern flopped. Watchmen was like a moderate success. So, you know, they're hardly dominating like they think they are. But that attitude alone indicates it's a definite no. Define Neo GameSpark. Do it on YouTube. How am I supposed to define him? I don't understand. If you saw someone collapse on the floor while passing out, what would you do? Well, not much. I'd be passed out. Christopher Dema, comic book period. Okay. See, this guy really needs help. I'm going to read this just because it's kind of lousy. Christopher Dema, comic book purist whose arrogance is on par with your own. Both you and Neil like to bash good movies like X-Men and DC movies, while you defend pieces of crap like The Amazing Spider-Man, Man of Steel, etc., which is funny because that's also a DC movie. You've lost all credibility. It's wow, just all kinds of drama. Wow. Alright, we're in the final few. Do you have any Justin Bieber music on your iPod? No. Do you listen to hip-hop? Very little. Do you listen to any gospel music? Define gospel music. If you mean like the genre, very little. Thoughts on Van Halen? Pretty cool. When did you start reading Spider-Man comics? When I was about 7. At my cousin's house. Read some Batman there too. It was really cool. Anyways. So that's the final question of the Q&A. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the answers, learned a little bit more about me. This went a bit longer than I thought I would. I got a lot more questions than I thought I would do. But anyways, that does it for now. And I will catch you guys later. See ya.